So good morning to you, wherever you happen to be in the world today. This is Neil Wilkins, and I want to talk to you today on the coffee time. And this is my somewhat daily, catch up with you on this year's mantra, which is all about awareness and abundance. And how difficult is this right here, right now, with all of the challenges that are happening over in Ukraine and the distractions and the absolute tragedies of the current situation over there? How difficult is it to continue with a normal life, really? How difficult is it to not be obviously correctly distracted by what is going on over there? And I was really thinking, and I guess a lot of people have been reflecting on how this is really kind of impacting on all of us, obviously at a big distance for a lot of us, but impacting us nonetheless, on our everyday kind of professional and personal life. And I was talking to somebody yesterday and was just saying to them that it doesn't really feel appropriate to be doing a lot of kind of social content that isn't related to that particular situation. And this person said, no, this is the time when actually this is when you should be doing it. This is when you should be going live. This is when you should be talking about what you've been talking about, this whole awareness and abundance thing, because it's never been more useful. It's never been more sort of profoundly relevant than it is actually here today. And it got me thinking about kind of where is the value that we add on a day-to-day basis to either bring awareness to people who are kind of either burying their head in the sand on certain topics and situations, or just giving people confidence to kind of think about this stuff and actually integrate it into their world. And so I kind of then bit the bullet and thought, actually probably is right, actually. And maybe now is the time to really kind of ramp things up a little bit more and actually use it in such a way that we can all create this kind of awareness of what is relevant and then start to actually take action. Because one of the big things that I've been talking about as we've been going through this journey together this year so far is the idea of making things very practical. So not just planning for planning's sake, not just thinking about doing stuff, but actually doing it. And not just doing, but being. So being really aware and really conscious of kind of what is actually happening in the moment. And to me, that is super important, because, we can talk about a lot of this stuff. We can, muse over situations and topics and ideas, but until we actually begin to take action and then experience it within the moment of taking that action, we've missed that opportunity. So I kind of was thinking about this and I thought, this is actually the moment to really kind of get on board again, to get on back on the bike or on the board and start riding again, because I've noticed within social, a lot of people have backed off, and I totally understand that. I've done that as well. And it was only really by having this conversation that I thought, actually, if you do feel that what you're doing is and actually sharing is going to be helpful, is going to help people to kind of think their way through this. And everybody's having a different take on the current situation, whether you're directly involved or indirectly or just very much observing at a distance. You all have your own kind of personal take on this. And I thought, well, okay, if I'm feeling this, I'm sure a lot of other people are. So here I am back on again and beginning to kind of really sort of bring, I think, a little bit of clarity for me. And I thought I'd share this clarity in terms of kind of what is important at the start of every day to, not necessarily not be distracted by this stuff, but to kind of be able to build on it and add value and hopefully give a little bit back in terms of, the value that you bring to the world. And this is all part of this mantra that we're journeying on this year. So my initial thought was, okay, so what are the kind of inspirations been for me? What are the kind of things that really bring me back grounded, back down to earth, professionally and personally? They'll allow me then to begin to add a little bit more value again. So not just getting kind of swept along by stuff where I can't really contribute a huge amount. So I thought, well, one of the very, very early influences in my professional world was Brian Tracy. And I encountered him on a training program. He was one of the key speakers on an in-house training program for one of my first jobs that I had. And I was really taken by Brian because he had a at the time, very, very different kind of approach. He was one of these kind of business gurus. And one of his things that he was really passionate about was the idea of eat that frog. Okay, so he's done courses on it. He's written a book or a number of books, I think, on this topic of eat that frog. And the whole idea behind this, and there is a relevance to why I'm telling you this story, is because if you eat the frog, in other words, do the most sort of horrible thing that you can possibly do at the start of each day, the one thing that you've really been putting off, maybe procrastinating, maybe it's just been that tough thing to do. If you do it as the very first thing before all of the day's distractions set in, before everybody else's agenda starts to take over your agenda, it gives you an opportunity to get that quick win, add the value, add service, whatever it is that you do, and actually, create some value for the world around you before you do anything else. So before you get kind of swept along and before you get completely distracted, this is the opportunity, the big opportunity to kind of step in and actually, achieve something. So if the very first thing that you do is eat that frog, in other words, probably the most horrible thing you're going to do all day, it could be the most significant. Okay, we've talked before about how to prioritize, how to kind of do the must, should, could, and now, soon, later, and all those wonderful techniques. This is about just selecting the big one at the start of the day and just doing it before getting carried away with everybody else's stuff, because that's what happens. And if that is related to some of the great opportunities that we have for sort of World Women's Day today, obviously the situation in Ukraine, if there's anything you can do about that, all of these things are kind of contributing to an external world that is very, very distracting to our plans and to our goals and to kind of what we're doing as individuals. But importantly, we need to figure out a way of adding value and a way of kind of giving back in those situations. So wherever you find yourself, eat that frog. Great little idea. And check out the book by Brian Tracy. The second thing I wanted to share with you today on a very, very similar topic, and this is something to really kind of mull over, because I find this one's a really interesting one, and this was really the big motivator about doing this talk to you here today, was a book which I'm actually reading at the moment, which is a really, really cool book by Chase Jarvis, the photographer. You may well have seen Chase's work as you've sort of lived your life over the last few years, because he has appeared in many, many advertisements, many documentaries, amazing photographer. But there's something extra that you can pick up from Chase's kind of wisdom in terms of how he's got to where he is today in his book, Creative Calling. And there was something that actually came through in a chapter I was reading last night, which was basically what he is saying is that at the start of every day, you need to create something. Okay, so while Brian Tracy says eat that frog, in other words, solve that particular problem, do that particular action, complete that task that you really don't want to be doing, the horrible one, because that's going to give you the best returns for the rest of the day, and the rest of your day is going to feel great. What Chase talks about is that it's all about creating at the start of your day. If you create something before the day gets swamped with all of the stuff that's going on right now, your day will be the highest value day possible. Okay, and you can decide what creating is. For me, it's this. For me, it is coming to you and actually just sharing these ideas with you, because this is what I'm doing. And I thought, now this could be something that might resonate with, even if it is just one or two of you. And I know a lot of people are sort of watching and listening to these, because I'm getting a lot of comments back, and thank you again for those. Really, really valuable, because again, it kind of helps to form the next ones that are coming, and it certainly advises the upcoming webinars, which I'll tell you about another time. It's not for today. But it's a really interesting thing about create something. So if you are a blogger or a podcaster or a vlogger, or you're a writer or a painter, or you just like creating stuff, and that could be a new business idea, it could be whatever it is in your world that you feel is your kind of creative outlet, then Chase would say, do something that contributes to that, that creates something at the start of every day. Okay, the beginning of your day is the scene setter for how the rest of your day is going to play out. I'm going to be doing next month, I'm going to be doing a lot more about early daily habits, and we're going to explore the great because of this topic of creating really good daily habits at the beginning of the day, kind of what time to get up, or how to feed yourself correctly, how to energize yourself at the beginning of the day, how to ground and settle yourself, how to plan your day, all of these amazing early habits. But these are just two that for me have kind of jumped out and reminded me that by starting the day, creating something and solving and completing that task that would otherwise just little by little just gnaw away as you go through your day. If you can solve those things at the beginning of the day, your day is going to be controllable by you. Your day is your agenda. Your day is how you're going to add value to the world around you, wherever it is. Small value, big value, it doesn't matter. It's whatever you believe is the value that you're bringing. And you can do that by creating something at the start of the day. And as Brian Tracy would say, by eating that frog. So I think that is all I want to share with you today. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on in the world, way, way more important at a global level than these little ideas. But at a local level, when it's just you and me talking about what we can actually bring, we've got to settle ourselves properly to be able to contribute and to be able to give good value. And that's really the idea for today as part of this mantra for this year. So if you're on the journey with me, we're kind of exploring a whole bunch of different things, but this is about very much the awareness. We're pushing aside the abundance bit for now. We're just focusing on the awareness. Eat that frog, solve that main problem, that main task, first thing you do in the day. And then the next thing you need to do, if you're going to follow Chase's creative calling advice in the book Creative Calling, thoroughly recommended. And if you do that and create something at the very start of your day, before you check your emails, before you look at the news, before you look at social, if you create something and solve a particular task or action, get that all sorted, the rest of your day should, in theory, be like magic. Okay, this is just simple stuff. So few people do it, but the people who do it, they know who they are and they know this stuff works. So I'm going to be practicing that. I'm doing this one here today, this little live with you. So that was my little bit of creative. I've created this, but you decide what it is for you, but create something at the start of your day, and then you can get on to the rest of the day. Eat that frog, solve that problem, solve that big task at the start of the day, then you can get on with the rest of the day. Do those two things, and your self-awareness of how your day is going to play out is going to be so much more valuable than it otherwise would be. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, however you're contributing to the world around you today, have a great day. I wish you every success and every happiness in your day, and I will catch up with you again very, very soon.